Let's take a look at the new Car Finance Simplified app, which contains both the PCP calculator and the EV salary sacrifice calculator. Welcome back to the channel, folks. JD here again. If you're new to the channel, this is Car Finance Simplified. This is a channel where I basically look at car finance deals and try and explain things in layman's terms so you can get yourself a better deal. And as part of that, over the last few years, I've written 2 spreadsheets, which some people have kindly purchased from me, which enable you to calculate your own PCP HP agreements. You can look at voluntary termination calculations, you can look at settlement figures, you can look at overpayments. And I've also more recently developed an electric vehicle salary sacrifice spreadsheet, which is really useful, certainly at the moment with benefit in kind rates being so low on electric vehicles. It enables you to work out if it's worth you joining a company scheme if your company offers such a scheme. And what I've done, I've combined those both into a new app. And I thought I'd just run through that today. Now, anybody who's already purchased a previous spreadsheet from me should have received notification of this already. But before I start sending it out, I just wanted to go through it properly so everyone's aware of its features, of its limitations, of how you run it, etc. So here we go. So the app itself isn't purchased via an Android store or the Apple store. It runs in a container called Open As App. So you need to download the Open As app for your phone. It runs on all platforms as far as I know, and then you will receive a link from me and you'll be able to get to the app through that container. So here it is. So let's just go through it. It's very similar to either spreadsheets, but I think its formatting looks a lot neater. It should be a lot simpler to use than having to open Excel each time. So the first tab at the bottom, we've got the first PCP HP calculator. So just like the spreadsheet, you can calculate 2 different agreements and you can compare between the 2. So let's say we're looking at a car with a purchase price of, I don't know, 24,999, and you're going to put in a deposit of 500 quid, and maybe there's also a 500 quid dealer deposit contribution. So our total finance is, in this example, 23,999. If you want to look at a PCP deal, you can enter the guaranteed future value. I hope you can see this on the screen. It's a little bit small. But if it's an HP, you can just enter 0. So let's say we're looking at a PCP, it's a 3-year deal and it's got a guaranteed future value of, I don't know, £11,000. So we can enter that there. And then let's say it's got a £10 option purchase fee. That's negligible, whether you put that in or not. Doesn't really matter. And then we can enter the starting date. So let's say we're going to start it on the 1st of May. And let's say we've been quoted 3.9% APR. Hope you can read this. And let's say it's a 36-month agreement. So remember with this, when you're looking at PCP agreements, if they're quoting 36 months, make sure it is 36 months. Sometimes it might be 37 months. So if it's a 37-month agreement, and by that I mean 36 equal payments and month 37 where the final value lies, make sure you put 36 in there. So let's assume this is a 35 plus 1. So 35 equal payments. 36 is where the guaranteed future value lies. So we need to enter 35 here. And when COVID was around, there was a few incentives to get people into new cars. And one of those was a free month. And I did a video on this. It wasn't technically a free month. It was basically deferring payment for 2 or 3 months, which meant that your interest was still accrued while you weren't paying. So I've left that there, but I doubt you'll see that anymore. So we'll leave that as 0. So it tells us there, look on this agreement, our total charge is £2,021. Always give or take a couple of quid on this because there is rounding going on. And when I've compared this with some actual quotes, sometimes it's spot on, sometimes it's £1 or so out. So it should only be used as a guide. But it tells us there, look, that our regular monthly payment in this example would be £429.17. Okay, we're going to skip the incentive tab. I'll come back to that in a minute. But let's say we want to compare another agreement. So let's say it's pretty much the same. We can go onto the PCP HP2 tab. So let's say it's 24,499 from another dealer. Same deposit, same dealer deposit. So obviously we're borrowing 23,499. Guaranteed future value is the same, so 11,000. option to purchase fee £10, same starting month, so let's say it's 1st of May, but let's say this time they've quoted us 3.4 APR and it's still 35 months. Okay, so there you can see that's coming out at 39687. Now if we go to the comparison tab, you can see here, look, it summarises those for us. So we can see the first one was 429.17, the second one was 396.87, so we're saving 32.29 a month or £733 over the term. And you can go back and tweak these things. So let's say you manage to change the APR slightly on the first agreement. You can use these plus and down buttons. So we can go like 2.9, look, oh, it only, okay, yes, so it goes up by whole percentages. Not particularly useful, is it? So we'll type one in. So let's say we got them down to 3.7 on this deal. So that's coming out at 426. You can go back to the comparison tab. You can still see that the second agreement is cheaper, etc. Okay, so that's how that works. Then you've got VT calculator 1 and 2. So this basically tells us when we could technically voluntarily terminate on the agreement. Now, voluntary termination is a right that you have on all regulated car finance agreements. It should only be used if you get into financial difficulty, but it basically means that if you've paid at least 50% of the total amount borrowed, including charges and including the deposit you've paid, providing you've taken reasonable care of the vehicle, etc., you can hand it back. Now, this is telling us on the first agreement, look, that we could technically VT this car after 29 months. That often surprises people because sometimes when you take out a PCP and the dealer might say, well, you can voluntarily terminate halfway. And that's not right. It's not halfway, it's half the amount. And because you've got such a high balloon payment at the end, on a PCP, the 50% point is often very close to the end. Certainly if you've not put much of a deposit in. So you can see here it's coming out at month 29. On the second one, it's coming out at month 31. Okay, so you can see, yes, the second agreement was cheaper, but if you did get into difficulty, you'd have to wait a couple more months or pay a little bit more at the end before you could voluntarily terminate. So that's how that works. We've then also got a settlement and overpayment page. So let's say, so this is taking the first agreement, look, so we borrowed 23,999. Let's say we're going to make a £1,000 overpayment, and we're going to make it after month 6. Okay, and then you want to look at a settlement figure. So let's say you want to settle after 12 months. So that tells us there, look, roughly, and again, depending on what charges are added on, this can be up to a few £100s out, but it's a good guide. You could see there that after 12 months, with a £1,000 overpayment at month 6, you'd settle about your settlement figure would be about 18,774. You can take that off, so you don't have to have any. So that tells us there, look, the settlement figure after 12 months on this agreement will be 19,797. So that's really useful if you're thinking, if you remember on the previous spreadsheet, for those of you who've got it, there's the amortization table. So let's say, actually what I might do, I might add a bit more onto this before I release it, so you can type in your current valuation of the car so you can see whether you're in negative or positive equity. But you could see, let's say you wanted to get out of this car after 2 years, you'd have to find 15,300. So what we'd do is we'd get a valuation of a car 2 years older and we'd see if there would be any equity at this point. Exactly the same for VT calculator 2 and the settlement, etc. Okay, the only other thing on this section of the app, which is the PCP HP calculator, is this incentive tab. So I included this on the spreadsheet quite a while ago because, actually let's just get rid of that for now. Essentially, I have been offered this twice actually when I've looked at cars on PCP, and they try and incentivize you by saying, okay, if you take our finance, we'll give you a free warranty or a free service pack or whatever. And this I added just to see if it was worth it. So let's say you had no intention of taking out finance, you're a cash buyer or you were going to take a personal loan or whatever, but they were saying, if you take our finance, we'll give you a 2-year warranty. So let's say that 2-year warranty has a price of, I don't know, £1,000. So you can put the incentive price, that's how much it would cost to actually buy it outright. And this only applies to the first PCP calculator, by the way. And let's say they said to you, right, as long as you keep our finance for 3 months, you can keep this incentive. So let's put 3 months in there, look. And it tells us, look, that in 3 months, we would have paid £1,278 in payments. It looks at what the settlement would be after 3 months, because obviously you want to pay it off. And then it works out if that incentive has cost us any money or has saved us any money. So it basically works out how much you've paid and how much the capital has come down by and whether it's worth having that incentive. So you can see in this example, the cost of the incentive has only cost us £345. So we've saved £654 by taking the finance out. You can put 6 months in there. So obviously the longer you run it, the less you'll save. So let's say you run it for 2 years and then pay it off. You can see it's actually cost us an extra £531 to have that incentive. So it could work. It doesn't work if the interest is very high. So let's say the interest wasn't 3.7. Let's say it was 11.9, which is not untypical at a main dealer on a used car. So you can see here, look, let's say we run it for 6 months. It still costs us an extra £700. The reason for that is because you pay more interest at the beginning. If you've got a really high APR, you're not paying down a lot of the capital. So you can see here, look, we borrowed, what did we borrow? We borrowed £24,000, look, and after 6 months, we've only paid off about 1,500 quid. So you can see actually it's not worth doing in that case, but it's quite useful, that little tool. Okay, on to part 2. So part 2 is the salary sacrifice and the salary calculator. So if we go along to the tabs here, look, we've got salary calculator. So what this does is it's used to feed into the next kind of tabs for salary sacrifice, etc. But it can be used just purely as a salary calculator. This is based, I should say, on the new national insurance rates from July the 1st, 2022. Okay, so it'll be slightly out of the first couple of months this year. So let's say you've got a gross salary of £45,000 and you've got a standard tax code of 1257 hour. You don't need to put the L in. I should say if you've got a negative tax code, you just enter minus the figure. Okay, so 1250. Right. So have you got, it'll let you add student loans on. You can add up to 2 different student loans, and in the drop down box, look, you've got the different kinds. So you've got plan 1, plan 2, plan 4, postgraduate loan. Okay, I think they're going to change next year, so I must remember to update that for next year. The nice thing I should say about this app is whenever I go in and tweak anything, it will automatically update your end. So you never again have to ask me for an update. So when tax rates change, providing I remember to do it, you will automatically get an update. You can choose whether your pension is taken pre or post tax. You can enter your nominal hours a week. That's not really important. It's just if you want to see what your hourly rate is. So let's say you work 37 hours a week. You can have any non-taxable income. So maybe you paid some expenses, gross, etc. So it gives us our effective hourly rate there of 23.39. Now you can add some other salary sacrifice, or you can add a pension amount. I should say these are all per year, not per month. So let's say you salary sacrifice into a pension scheme, and let's say you pay, I don't know, £500 a month, which is what, £6,000 a year. So we'll enter £6,000 in there. So it tells us there, look, our actual gross salary for tax purposes is £39,000 because we've sacrificed 6,000 of it. Tells us what our different tax rates are, so 20% tax, 40% tax, what our national insurance is, what our company national insurance is, etc. And the reason it's saying value there, believe me, this does work. This is something to do with the preview on the Openers app platform. It will give us a figure there. For some reason, it was doing this the other day. Then we can go on to our EV salary sacrifice tab. Now, unfortunately, I bet this will give... Yes, it's going to give me errors on every page. Not a very good advert, but believe me, it does work on the phone. In fact, let me just prove it. Let me just get the app up on the phone. Oh, look. There you go, look. How you can see that. Let me just focus. Look what's happened just as I've opened the app. Oh, I'm going to shake. Oh, you can read that, but it basically says an update is available. So all you have to do is hit update. back into focus. Right, so we update it. And what I'm doing, look, so you can see it's exactly the same. I don't know if you can see this. But let's scroll to the salary calculator just to prove that this does work. So I'm going to enter exactly what I put in here, 45,000, tax code of 1257L. And salary sacrifice of 6,000. So you can see that's exactly the same on the app. Let me just try and focus this so you can see it. I think that's it. So you can see I've done exactly the same thing, and at the bottom you see it does work. So 251,767 is our net pay. Okay, so it does work. Anyway, so ignore the fact that it doesn't work, and let me just refocus myself. I ought to have this on autofocus, but it doesn't work extremely well. Right, so this is where we can work out whether it's worth having a salary sacrificed electric vehicle. So it's brought through our salary, a lot, 45,000, our gross salary monthly. Car allowance. Do we have a car allowance? You might do, but that is often paid so that you can then use that money net to pay your own car loan, etc. So we'll say no for now. Now, how much do we want to salary sacrifice for an electric vehicle? So let's say, again, let's say it's the same as before. Let's say it's £500 a month, so £6,000 a year. So you can see it's there, it's telling us £500 a month. P11D value of the vehicle. So let's say it's £50,000 and the P11D benefit in kind, blah, 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 of an electric vehicle for this year up until 24-25 is 2%. So we're going to put 2% in there, and it tells us that our where are we? Our revised tax code is 1150. Okay, so it tells us what our tax is, and it will tell us our car net cost if it works on the phone. Okay, and it tells the percentage saving of the car. So is it worth having a salary sacrifice car? Now, typically, as a rule of thumb, with the new NI rates coming in, you'll save about 33.25% of the gross amount, less a little bit of company car tax. So it's 2%. So the way that works is it's 2% of the car's value. So in this case, we use £50,000, so £1,000 a year. That comes off your tax code, and then you pay tax at your rate. So if you're a 20% taxpayer, it's going to cost you £200 a year. It's going to cost you £400 a year if you're a 40% taxpayer. Okay, so we can then go on to existing costs. This is so irritating. I don't know why that's doing that, because it does work on the phone. Anyway, so we can put, if we've got any existing car finance. So let's say we're thinking about, should I get rid of my own car, which I pay for out of my net pay, and go down the electric vehicle salary sacrifice route. So let's say that we currently pay £350 a month on a car loan. We've got road tax to pay, because road tax is normally included, but obviously on electric vehicles there's no road tax anyway. So let's say we pay, I don't know, what is road tax now? About £155 a year, something like that. So that's going to be about £13 a month road tax. And let's say our existing car insurance is, I don't know, £30 a month. And let's say we travel, I don't know, 1,000 miles a month. And let's say we currently get 45 mpg. And our current diesel price, wow, £2 a litre nearly. Let's say it's 185. So it tells us there, look, that we would currently pay £186.85 in diesel, and we'd need 22.22 gallons. Okay, and it's £8.41 a gallon in the UK at the moment. That's basically the litre multiplied by 4.535. Do we get a mileage allowance? So you can say yes or no. So that basically lets you put in X amount of business miles that you're paid for. So let's say yes, we get a mileage allowance, and we, out of those 1,000 miles a month, we do 500 business miles. How much do we get paid? So let's say we get paid, I don't know, the standard, so 45 pence per mile for the first 10,000 miles a year, and then 20 pence a mile for the following mileage after that. So it says there, look, we would have a mileage claim of £225. We can then choose whether we're going to have an additional HMRC claim. Now that if your company doesn't pay you the standard rates of 45p and 20p, you can claim the extra and get it as a credit on your personal allowance. So we're going to say no, because we've put in the standard rates there. So it tells me there, look, that our total cost is £354.85, and what would be in there, if this worked properly on the screen, would be how much our net pay would be after our total monthly costs. So what this has done is it's added up the car finance, the tax, the insurance, etc., and then also added on any fuel mileage claim we have, and then the net pay is it's costing us £354 a month. We then go on to the EV tab. So this is where we can work out our total running costs of the electric vehicle. So let's say it's asking for efficiency in miles per kilowatt hour. So let's say we get 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, pretty standard. And let's say we're on Octopus Go Faster. If you're interested in Octopus, by the way, you can use my referral link and we'll both get 50 quid. You'll find that in the description for all of my videos. But let's say we've got Octopus Go Faster, which I'm on, and I pay 5.5 pence per unit, which is really nice, between 8:30 and 12:30. So we're assuming we're only going to charge the car during our cheap tariff. So 0.055. Oh, there we go. So it's rounded that up to roughly 2 pence per mile. It's pulled the 1,000 miles through from the previous tab, and it's telling us there, look, that we'd need 285 units of electricity, and it would cost us about £15 a month, which is incredible when you think on the previous tab it was costing us 180 something. Do we have our own insurance? Now, some salary sacrifice schemes excuse me, include insurance, some don't. So you can put whether you're insuring your car there. So it's telling us, look, that the total cost for running the EV is 15 quid. And it would, again, if it worked properly, and it will work on the app, tell us our total net pay after we've sacrificed the electric vehicle plus the running costs. And obviously it will give you a monthly saving, which doesn't work either. Brilliant. Frustrating. But it will work on the phone. It's really, I'm going to post this because it, believe me, it does work. I don't know why it doesn't work on the preview. So I'm previewing this in the Open As app website and it doesn't seem to work properly. Let me just get up the app again and we're going to put this in here. So let's put in the same figures. So we said that we were salary sacrificing £6,000 a year, and the car had a P11D value of 50,000 and a 2% benefit in kind, which made our tax code 1157. Right, there you go. There you can see this. Let me just zoom in on this. So this is the exact figures that we've just used, and you see there it's telling us that that car would cost us, including any company car tax, £350 a month instead of 500 that we've sacrificed. So we're saving 29.92%. Okay. We'll put our running costs in. So we said we had, let me just get this right on the screen. So existing costs, we said £350, we said £13 for car tax, we said existing insurance of 30, we said 45 mpg, we said total miles a month was 1,000, current price of diesel we said was 185, and we did have a mileage allowance. We did 500 business miles a month and we got 0.45 and we got 0.2, and there you go. So it does work, you see. So if you can see that, so I've put in exactly the same figures and it's telling us there, look, it's really difficult to do this in reverse. Our new net pay is, just take this off my monitor, I can't see what's going on. There we go. So our new net pay, look, is 2162 with an existing car loan. And then we go to the EV costs. So we said it was 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Electricity price was 0.055. There you go. So our new net pay is 2151.54. Savings. So in this example, we're actually slightly worse off, and that's because we are claiming our business miles. Okay, so it's telling us that yes, we can run an electric vehicle, but it's going to be slightly worse off. However, what you've got to remember is we were only paying £350 a month for the car on the personal loan. We are able in this example to lease a car at £500 a month. And remember, when you are salary sacrificing a car through a scheme, you will only pay 50% of the VAT on the rental element. So that's probably really a £550 a month lease, and it's only costing us an extra £11 a month. Okay, if I were to put in an existing car loan of £500 a month, you can see the savings now, £138 a month. So for the same finance amount coming out of your bank, with the running cost of the electric vehicle, you're £138 better off. Okay? So sorry about the preview not working quite right, but that's just an overview of the app. If anybody wants a copy, please let me know. Basically, for new subscribers to the channel, it's going to be a one-off payment of £14.99, and that includes any updates I ever make. For existing purchases of either spreadsheet, it's £7.99. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.